to see you in person.
Yeah.
We'll start with a question about one of your former clubs and what's been a pretty tumultuous week for Chelsea. As someone who spent a number of years there during the Abramovich era, I just wonder how you would assess the impact he's had on that club and the potential void him selling it might leave.
Well, there's no doubt there'd be a void because Roman was hugely influential there. And I think when he came into the country at the time, there was a lot of sceptics around why he was there and how long he was going to be there. But I think he showed over many, many years his support to the club. And I can only talk, through my own experience of being there for just over 4 years. And I loved every second of it. And he, along with the board members at the time, they created an environment that was an elite environment where you could learn and develop both as a player and a staff member that would set you up for your career. So I can, it's very difficult now because people don't want to separate sport and politics, but I can only talk from my experience there at Chelsea at that time when Roman was there and the staff and what they were looking to create. And it was a great environment to work in. And as I said before, and I'll repeat, I'll always be eternally grateful for that opportunity to go there and work in a world-class environment.
Just reflect on Tuesday night's win, a really good result, and perhaps no surprise that one man stole the headlines, Jamie Vardy. Obviously, he has a huge impact as a player. I just wonder what sort of psychological impact he gives the rest of the group when he's returned and when he's fit and available to play.
Well, he's a huge influence. I think that his cameo that he gave in the game was everything that he's shown over many years. He's one of the Premier League's great strikers. And of course, when you have that in your team, then of course it makes you a better team. Everything is, if you watch his movement for the first goal, his anticipation that Casper's going to get there, so he sprints to be onside. So when the ball's played, he can get the second ball, and then he sets up James, who has a brilliant finish, and then just his awareness in the box for the cross to be in the right place. And when you get Jamie Vardy in your team, it's you clearly you're in a much better moment in terms of your confidence and what he brings the team in terms of that leadership quality as well. So his cameo was great. He came in and affected the game, which is what we wanted. And it just continues a much better level of performance from us as a team, because I think the game we showed what we've probably done for a couple of years and not so much consistently this year. We showed that we were defensively strong, first and foremost. We were aggressive in the game, pressed the game well, and then played our football, created opportunities and got 2 wonderful goals. So he, along with the team, was really a collective effort, and we were really pleased with that.
The statistics pretty smart, win percentage-wise, with and without him this season. It's 40% with, 14% without him. Is that A, surprising, the staff difference, but also be a little worrying? You need to be, and I'm sure you are as a group, thinking about how you can be better without him in future if he does pick up other injuries.
No, it's not at all. It's something that we've seen over a period of time. We've actually won a lot of games without Jamie as well. But I think this year we've been really affected by the injuries that we've had. I think if you actually look back over my time here in the moments when Jamie hasn't played, because our team has always been built around that, which is the team. Of course, individual players will bring certain aspects to the game, but the reliance should never be on one player, and it can't be. But of course, when you miss certain players in certain key positions, then of course it makes a huge difference, And for the likes of us, if Liverpool were to lose Van Dijk and Matip and Mo Salah, that would make a difference. And of course, with us, we've had players of that level out with Johnny and Wes, and then when Jamie's been out for a while, so it makes a difference. But most importantly, he's back. He looks fresh. He looks ready for this latter part of the season, and I'm so happy. But for us, it will always be about the collective.
How different a Leeds United are you expecting this weekend from perhaps the one we've seen in recent weeks?
Yeah, I think it will be different. I think I would want to mention Marcelo before talk anything more about Leeds, because I think it's a big loss to the Premier League with Bielsa not being there. As much for the human qualities that he showed in his time here, I'm sure it's a huge loss for Leeds as not only a club but in a city. I think when everyone was going through a pandemic, he looked like what he was, a real father figure. And so the aftermath of him going, I'm sure, won't be easy for a number of weeks, because, like I said, he was admired there by many, and of course myself, probably along with other managers. I was lucky enough to spend some time with him whilst he was here, and I'll always be very privileged to have done that, because in the modern game, where the game is a circus now at this level, he brought a lot of what would be old school values to the game, and the joy from watching him operate and not be taken in by everything that goes around the modern game of football. And just, for me, but watching his team and watching him, it was just a sense of what football used to be like. Just enjoyment, fun, and always with a respect and a humility. So for me, he will be a loss. But for Leeds, they will go again. Jesse will come in, he'll get a new experience here in the Premier League. He's taken over a great group of players, players that will very honest and have been very good in these last couple of seasons in the Premier League. And he'll want to give them a lift and challenge to stay in the Premier League. So yeah, Jesse's style will be more zonal. I think he was an outlier in a lot of what he did, Marcello, in terms of his man-to-man marking. There's not too many teams around the world will do that, but when they were at their best, it was very difficult to play against. I think they'll go more zonal now in their game, and more traditional in terms of pressing and whatnot.
My final question, actually, that Leeds under Bielsa were so unique. What do you do to prepare yourself for a Jesse Marsch? Has it been a case in the last few days of watching Leipzig and Salzburg over the last couple of seasons? Yeah,
you tend to, when it's a new manager coming in, try to look at their previous in terms of clubs, and obviously when I was at Celtic, we played against Salzburg and Leipzig in my time there, so we understand the model of how they will want to work. So, but more traditional in terms of pressing and the modern game, which is based around that and counter pressing. So I'd expect that style of football.
Thank you, Brendan.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. We'll go to Zoom now with Ali Bender from Premier League.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Alison. Okay.
Just to sort of pick up on that last question, really. I've just watched Jesse Marsch's first press conference. He was quite open with the media about obviously not doing man marking and having his own values and ideas. Do you have much of an idea of how he's going to approach this game, or do you feel a little unlucky that you're the first team to be facing them?
No, not at all. I don't think there'll be too much that we won't know, and I think it takes a period of time to really implement your ideas. I think what Jesse will have inherited there is like I said, an honest group of players. They'll be physically in really good condition. They work well. They give everything to the game, and they've got some really talented players. And to the base of that, some really top, English professional players and British players that have formed the foundation of their success over these last 4 years. So I think they'll want to work. I think it's just going to be more traditional in terms of the setup of the team. Like I say, the man-to-man marking, where you've nearly get 80 of your players are man marking, that's fairly unique in the modern game. And as Jesse said himself, I'm sure he's and having seen his teams play, it's much more zonal pressure on the game, which is what it is from both teams. So there's so much footage now of players and organisations and teams, so you have a good idea of how they're going to work. And but like I say, over the period of time, he'll be looking to impose his own signature on the team.
And Leeds, having conceded 20 goals in the month of February, more than the entirety of last season, I guess a perfect time for Jamie Vardy to be back. I'm sure he'll be delighted about the opportunity to face that back line. How are you feeling about exploiting those defensive weaknesses?
No, it's whatever team we were going to play today, Alison, it wouldn't have mattered. We're just happy to have Jamie back. He looks fresh, he looks fit. Whether he lasts the whole game or not, having just come back, remains to be seen. But it's great to have him back and available and looking fresh. And you just see what you've missed in this, what we've missed as a team in these last few months. That movement, that energy, just that game understanding and cuteness in the game. And clearly that makes us a better team. So no matter who we were playing, I was obviously happy that he's back.
Just want to ask you a further question about Jamie Vardy, because I was looking at the stats and he has the most Premier League goals for an over 30, so overtaking Shearer and Wright, some of the great goal scorers that we've had. And I just wonder if you noticed anything that sort of sets him apart from the others, why he's been able to be so clinical for so long, and why he's such a natural finisher for you.
I think it's exactly that. He's a natural goal scorer. He obviously works at his game. He's a top professional player. But what Jamie's very astute in the game. He studies the game. He's very clever. He picks up on things within the game. He's such a bright mind. He's sharp. He's thinking. He's looking for ways to get in. And then what he has when he is in, he's this amazing finisher. He's got all types of finishes. He can attack the ball. He's getting a lovely soft finish if he has to. He just get every type of finish that you want. And there's no doubt over these last numbers of years, he's been, one of the world's best in terms of timing of movement in behind a back line and finishing. And like you see, he's all types of finishes. So now he's got this inbuilt brain for the game. He works tirelessly at his game, and he clearly has a hunger to keep proving a point. And Leicester, we benefit from that here.
And at the other end of the pitch, Kasper Schmeichel, he's not missed a Premier League game since 2018. I mean, incredibly consistent, but he'll move into third place this weekend on Leicester's all-time appearance maker. So I just like a word on him really, and how important it is to have a goalkeeper like that and someone who's been so consistent.
Well, it's an incredible achievement. I wasn't aware of that, but as you speak it, I'm thinking it, and it's clearly, it's a real testament to his professionalism, and not only that, his desire and hunger to stay fit, remain fit, and obviously you need a little bit of luck as well. But to play that number of games, to put you in that, at that level, then it really shows the testament to his professionalism and also the consistency in his performances. So yes, that's a great accolade to have.
And finally, from me, Brendan, I just want to mention the fact that it's 3 years since you took over the club. I believe it's tomorrow is your anniversary of the first game. So if you could just reflect on your time at Leicester and how it's been, whether it's exceeded your expectations, what's been the biggest challenges for you?
I've enjoyed every second since I've been here. It was a huge decision to come, but one that there's been so many memories, really good memories. I think one of the challenges coming to here was managing the loss of a leader. I think that gets underestimated. The football club and the city as such lost Kunvicha, who was this incredible leader for the club. So managing that loss is something that I had to be a part of my management as well, in terms of reinvigorating the club and trying to look forward and trying to support and build on the legacy that was left by Kunvicha. We obviously left our training ground and came to new facilities, so there's a loss there in terms of people who've been at that training ground for so many years and then coming to this new facility. So outside of the pitch, there's been lots of challenges, of course, but great challenges, and I've been supported incredibly well by my board and Kuntop. The support's been there. And of course, with the players have been amazing. It's always the challenge to convince players to play and how you want to play. And our challenge was to disrupt the top end of the table, and we've been able to do that. It's been a challenge this year, but of course that's what happened. It's just been unfortunate with players that have been missing for us, so we haven't had our strongest squad. But the players have reacted so well in these last few weeks, and if we can finish the season strong, then we can really build on it moving forward into the following season. So that's our aim: finish as strong and high as we can in the league, go as far as we can in the European competition that we are in, and if we can get our players back, then if we can provide a great feeling moving into the next season. But for my time here, I couldn't have wished for any more, really. Winning the first ever FA Cup, winning a Community Shield, 2 European finishes, so playing and bringing the club into Europe, and hopefully that can be a fixture for us going forward for a number of years.
Thanks, Brendan. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Ali. We'll go to Owen Palmer-Atkin from Radio Leicester.
Hi, Brendan. Good to see you.
Hi, I was looking there, actually. See where you were.
I'm out there. Okay. On the injury situation, I was going to catch you about Ricardo and how he is. I know you said you took him off on Tuesday night because of a hamstring problem.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of issues with Ricardo and James Maddison. So we just have to monitor that, whether they're going to be ready for the game tomorrow. If not, then hopefully for next week. So very frustrating for both players. James, his impact in the game was fantastic, and his run of form in terms of goals and creating goals has been great. And obviously Ricky, who's been sort of troubled by 1 or 2 setbacks since he has come back from the long-term injury. So it's just a case of trying to manage that and see where it is, and we'll give it every chance, but with our doubts for tomorrow.
What's the problem with James Maddison? Is that another muscular injury, or is
sort of lower back, higher sort of hamstring injury. So a little frustrating, but if it's not tomorrow, then hopefully next week.
You mentioned the word frustration. I can imagine for you as a manager, when you see players like Jamie Vardy coming back into the side, and you've almost seen the light at the end of the tunnel as far as the injuries are concerned, and it must be very frustrating to have another couple now be put on the list again. It's
very frustrating, I have to say, because it feels like we're always trying to patch up the team and play players out of position and having to keep doing that. But it's where it's at, It's just been unfortunate, like I say, players on the way back. I think you're starting to see a little bit more of the fluidity in the team and how we've been with these players coming back. But we just have to manage it the very best we can and hope they can get back sooner rather than later.
We've seen obviously across against Rangers and Burnley that kind of, as you say, that fluidity that's coming back into the side, and with that the results as well. And you always talk about winning after winning, and I suppose that being really, really important now as you try to build momentum ahead of the Ren game, important games in Europe. But just building those performances, how important is that in terms of matching the performance with the result at the same time?
That's the ideal scenario. That's what you want to align: playing well and winning. We obviously played really well against Wolves and didn't. Against West Ham, we deserved to, and we didn't. So, but for me, the most important thing is the performance, because I know that when we perform, we can win games.
Final one. Set pieces have been a big topic this season, and I wonder whether this weekend, when you look at Leeds, whether you'll be looking at the way that they've used them set pieces so far this season, or whether you've had to dive back into what Jesse Marsch did at Leipzig and his other clubs as well to see is whether you think he'll bring those tactics in straight away, or whether it'll be what we've seen so far from them.
Yeah, normally I think any manager or coach who come in and if you think you see an area that you maybe can improve or that you've done differently, you may well do that. Jesse's been more zonal and he's sort of defending, so they may well move to that as opposed to the sort of man-to-man marking. But set pieces, whatever you do, and I've said it a number of times, it's that ability to have that will to go and hit the ball, and defend it. I think we've shown enough times that we can. like we did the other night. You play against Burnley, and there's we had 21 set pieces to face over the course of corners and free kicks, and we dealt really well with them. We've seen it in other games where we've dealt well with them, but it's that level of concentration, and as I said, that will to go and attack the ball, which is very important for any team. So for us, we look at it every game, defending, attacking, put a lot of work, a lot of research into it, how we can be better. Can we take that opportunity against Leeds to score? But it's still the same issues. You have to want to go and head the ball in both boxes, and if you can do that and you can get on the end of it, you'll have a chance of scoring.
Brendan, thank you. Good
and defend them. Thank you.
Cheers, we'll go to Colin from BBC Smiths.
I just wondered, after the low point of Forest, you laid down quite a public challenge to your squad about performances. You talked there about the way they perform things. How much of a response do you think that is to that defeat and to what you had to say afterwards?
Well, no doubt the Forest game, for whatever happens this season, that was a low point. It was a performance that in a derby game was unacceptable, really. But it's then what you learn from that. And I think that's always the key for any good team and any good player. So our mantra is always, if you lose, you learn and then go and win. And I think we've seen from that there that the performance level has enabled us to do that. And the honesty of the players, that was a moment where really we had to reflect after that. Despite everything, the challenges this year, that was still not good enough. And the players have responded well to that, with some really good performances. So yeah, that's what happens in adverse moments. And like I said, it was a disappointing one, but the players have sort of came back really well from it and starting to now find our form and find the rhythm in our game.
What have you been learning from the challenges of this year about what you might need to look at over the summer? Because your attention will be starting to turn to that now. What have all the injuries, all the changes you've had to make, talking about your squad and what you need to do with it?
Well, it's a constant development of the team. I think that there's been lots of really positives for us this season. You look at the introduction of Luke Thomas, has played a lot more games and he's been outstanding. Arguably our player of the season so far. As a very young player to come in and having to play such a prominent role, he's been incredible, really. Kieran Jusby-Hall coming in has added another dimension to our team. He's tenacious, he's got quality, and he's really helped Harvey Barnes and his game. So yeah, it's just constant. I think for us, it's about availability. That's the biggest challenge. When you're playing 50 odd plus games a season, there's a challenge around physicality. So of course we have to find a way to ensure that our squad is robust. It's important, and sometimes that takes a few years until players are actually finding the rhythm of playing so many games. So there's always learning and always challenges, but yeah, we'll always constantly look to improve.
And just finally, I'm struck by the warmth of your tribute to Marcelo and losing him from the English game. We used to joke about the goalkeepers union. I wonder how much of a managers, coaches union there is, where you all kind of like get together and talk about the circus, if you like, as a group, and kind of roll your eyes a little bit and sigh about everything that goes on around football.
No, we never do. We never get a chance. That's the reality of it. I think you maybe bump into managers and coaches at a game or maybe at a meeting or something, but you have very, very little time with them. But we all understand the pressures and the challenges of the job and the role. But no, Marcelo just struck me as someone I've always studied other managers and coaches, and he in particular. I've got a USB key of thousands of drills and exercises that he's had all through his career. I've had that in my bag for many, many years. So when the chance came to work against him and meet him here, that was a big honour for me, because he's someone I respected. But like I say, how he went about the job and the joy that he would have given the Leeds supporters and the nation at times, the team and how they played. But like I say, more so the humility of him as a man, And like I say, what he brought amongst this modern game, which the reality of it sometimes gets distorted. His view on the game, and which was so refreshing, was just about football and helping people. And you've seen him walk off the coach at Leeds and hand kids some sweets, and just a great man. And that, when you lose that humanity from anywhere, and from the Premier League, then of course that for me is a loss, as well as the football, because he's a real student of the game.
Fabulous, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll end the broadcast